The 2026 Tribeca Film Festival kicked off its 25th anniversary yesterday. The festival founded, of course, by Robert De Niro and his producing partner Jane Rosenthal, hoping to bring attention to movies as well as to the neighborhoods impacted after the attacks of September 11th. Yes, coming up on 25 years. This year, the lineup features a screening of the movie Taxi Driver 50 years after its release, as well as a new documentary on the band Earth, Wind and Fire, among many, many others. Also premiering at the festival tonight, the new documentary Mario, weaving together rare archival footage, candid interviews with family members, and excerpts from personal diaries. The film tells the inside story of former New York Governor Mario Cuomo, from his humble roots in Queens to his remarkable rise in politics.
Mario Cuomo wasn't in politics to have power. He was in politics to have a mission and give people hope. Mario Cuomo may have been ahead of the American people. I think if he were here now, he would be a voice that is so needed.
Jefferson got to be president, but we still study Hamilton. Reagan was a two-term president, but in the same way, we ought to still study Cuomo.
We Democrats must unite so that the entire nation can unite for the family of America. Please make this nation remember how futures are built. Thank you and God bless you.
Joining us now, Mario Cuomo's daughter, Maria Cuomo Cole. She is a Peabody and Emmy Award-winning producer. Also with us, the documentary's director and producer, Teddy Kuhnhart. He is an Emmy and Peabody winner as well. Good morning to you both. Thanks so much for being with us. Maria, I'll start with you on this. It was just to see some of that footage, including that famous 1984 convention speech. But for you, I know this is obviously a much more personal story, not so much about a political icon, but about your dad. So worth going back to the roots. The son of Italian immigrants to New York City, grew up working class in Queens, got his way into St. John's undergraduate and into law school. Can you talk a little bit about the foundational story of your dad before he became the man America came to know?
Well, you know, I think that he actually remained the same man. I think that his foundational roots of his faith, of his pursuit for justice, his unbridled curiosity, both academically, intellectually, I think was sort of a consistent path for him into politics.
So, Teddy, I liked what our friend John Meacham said in the clip we just played, that it's true that Mario Cuomo's path did not end up in the White House, but he was still a giant figure of his time. What drew you to this project? Why did you decide that his story needed to be told like this?
I'm of a younger generation where Mario Cuomo wasn't a familiar name. And we were doing a film on President Obama for HBO, and we were talking with David Axelrod, and David Axelrod said, you have to watch the '84 convention speech because that's what President Obama studied before he gave his 2004 speech. So we pulled in the speech, and we watched it, and we were like, oh my God, this guy is electric. And so we put his name on a whiteboard and as a possible film idea, and years passed, nothing happened, and then all of a sudden we got a call from Ken Sunshine, who does all of our PR, and he said, can you meet with Maria Cuomo Cole and possibly do a film? So that's how it all started.
Maria, you mentioned your father's faith. He never lost faith in the country. His faith as a Catholic never lapsed. And he introduced the idea of faith into politics in many of his speeches. I'm trying to recall the meat of the speech he gave at Notre Dame, which was incredible. He was a pace setter in terms of that, matching faith, the strength of his faith, and the strength of our democracy.
Absolutely. And it was, both a personal struggle and one as an elected leader. I think that his taking on the issue of choice as a person of faith and presenting a case, more than a speech, it was really a case for reaching the middle and trying to position the importance of an elected official representing all constituents. and that it wasn't just his own personal belief system that would guide his judgments for all of his constituents. I think it was a very important time for a different way of thinking about the issue of choice for people of faith.
So the film, of course, is about far more than just these famous speeches. Let's take a look at a clip from a lesser-known part of the former governor's life.
My father seemed to be going down the path of a professional baseball career.
He was a good athlete, strong, quick, incredibly tough. His hands were like catcher's mitts, you know what I mean? And every time he would try to be nice, but it was like on the side of your head. And he was a winner by disposition.
It's probably not that well known that my father was injured by a ball.
I got hit in the back of the head, had a blood clot on the brain, but I never would have been a good enough ball player. My heart wasn't in it. I couldn't see myself spending 10 or 15 years. I wanted very much to do something I thought was going to be meaningful.
Mario Cuomo, Pirates fan. Teddy, talk to us, though, about, though he says there, of course, he didn't want to be a ball player, but there is inherently, if you're a politician, you have to have a competitive streak. You have to want to seek office and seek to serve. So talk to us whether it's that or there's other aspects of his life that people will get to discover in this film that they maybe didn't know about the man, you know, who dominated the headlines.
He was very competitive. That's not a question. I don't believe he wanted to be a politician. He loved the law and he wanted to be a lawyer. And when he saw that he could use the tools of the government to make good change and help the little guy, it all switched. And he was a reluctant politician. I think he really wanted to do good things for the people that needed help the most.
Maria, there's been obviously so much speculation about why your father didn't run for the presidency. I know he was very committed to his home state and to New York. But why do you think he didn't? In '92, when it could have been the moment for him to run, why do you think he hesitated and finally didn't jump in?
I think he didn't feel it was the best way that he could serve. I mean, he was committed as a public servant to support his constituents, to represent the state of New York. He had a deep passion for our democracy. His family were first-generation immigrants and loved this country. And I think he felt that the best way for him to serve was as governor. I think it wasn't a possibility he had really considered seriously before either, before the groundswell for him running.
The new film is Mario. It premieres tonight at the Tribeca Film Festival. Maria Cuomo Cole and director and producer Teddy Kuhnhart, thank you both. We appreciate it.